Good afternoon, and thank you for attending our presentation. For this project, our team was assigned to the area of West Provo. We designated West Provo as containing land to the west of University Avenue, south of 1700 North, and following city-designated lines to the west and south. The major neighborhoods contained within this area include Franklin, Dixon, Sunset, Lakeview, and Grandview. According to U.S. Census data, the West Provo area is relatively diverse in racial makeup when compared to the rest of Utah County. 36% of the population are non-white, as opposed to the only 18% in the rest of the county. The majority of this diversity comes from West Provo's strong Latino community. 24% of adults speak Spanish in the home. In addition to racial diversity, West Provo also contains a stark socioeconomic divide. The Grandview and Lakeview communities are home to an affluent and influential population. Meanwhile, in the Franklin community and parts of Dixon and Sunset, there is a concentration of poverty higher than almost any other community in Utah County. IBIS surveillance data reveals that 21% of the population is living without health insurance, as opposed to the county rate of 12%. In addition, 18.6% of West Provo children are raised in poverty, which doubles the county rate.
So, after we evaluated the health trends in the Utah IBIS for West Provo, the amount of control we had to change these outcomes, and the community members' and stakeholders' opinions, we found substance misuse to be the most pressing and changeable health equity issue. Here you can see our first prioritization matrix with the 3 criteria I just mentioned and the weight we gave each. You can see that substance abuse came out at the top for being the health issue we should focus on. But before I go on, I want to take a brief second to define what substance misuse is for our evaluation. It focuses on both prescription drug abuse and illicit drug abuse, as these were both prevalent issues for the community. Here we have a graph. This was created based on a survey we distributed to the community members. As you can see, the majority of respondents indicated that they either somewhat or strongly agree with these statements, affirming that substance misuse is a problem. For example, one of the statements reads, "Substance misuse worries me for the safety of the community." 80% of the respondents either somewhat or strongly agreed. In fact, some of our other data also indicated that substance misuse is common among the Hispanics. This idea comes into play in our intervention later.
After deciding our intervention would be addressing substance misuse in West Provo, we looked into some best practice interventions from other geographic areas. The 2 we found that we felt would be the most effective for our area was a public service announcement and drug disposal program intervention. With the 2 working together, the target population would have more resources available and understand how to use them. It was a little complicated to fit everything into one logic model for both practices, so we split the activities and objectives into 2 logic models. This first logic model shows the impacts and objectives we hope to accomplish for the area. We decided PSAs would be a best practice for the area because a lot of the community members we interviewed were unaware of the resources and services to help them overcome substance misuse within themselves or to help a loved one. All the materials used for these PSAs, including brochures, web pages, and videos, will be available in both English and Spanish due to the target population. The second logic model shows impacts and objectives for a drug disposal program. We do recognize that something like this is already in place in Provo, but we would hope to increase the impact it has by adding drug disposal boxes to more areas of West Provo that are not just clinics and pharmacies. Some options include the local bowling alley, movie theater, park, or grocery store. This would create a more widespread availability to dispose of unused prescription drugs properly.
So now we will look at the infographic that we created to help make the logic model a little bit easier to understand. First, we'll look at the public service announcements part. So on here we see that the goal of this project is to reduce illicit prescription drug misuse in West Provo. And the risk factors that we will address through this intervention are the lack of knowledge and awareness of the issue that people in the community may have, as well as racial disparities. We would like to make this intervention available to those who speak English and those who only speak Spanish. The intervention strategy that we will use is help communication, and the activities will all be communication activities, including movie theater PSAs, billboards in both Spanish and English, a website in Spanish and English, partnerships with 5 social media influencers, and we will distribute 200 brochures in local medical offices so that everyone can find and understand about this intervention. The second part of the infographic talks about the drug disposal intervention that we have created. The goal of this is to reduce prescription drug misuse specifically in West Provo. And the risk factors that we will address with this intervention are the built environment, and related to that, the intervention strategy that we will use is environmental change. And all of the intervention activities we will do will be related to environmental change as well as communicating about that change. So we will establish 15 easily accessible drug disposal boxes around the community in places like grocery stores and movie theaters. We will help participants dispose of at least 500 pill bottles over the time of the intervention. We'll create a Spanish-English website. We will create a map of the locations for the drug disposal sites so that people can find them easily. And lastly, we will distribute 200 brochures in local medical offices. And here are our references.
For this evaluation, we decided to conduct a quasi-experimental design, which will determine the cause and effect of our program. We will measure that effect specifically through pre- and post-test surveys that will be sent out to the community in West Provo. Our outcome for both plans listed on this slide is to reduce prescription drug and illicit drug misuse by 25% by January 2025. Over the course of 12 or 20 months, the impact aims to have that population be aware of the Substance Misuse Health Center for our Health Communication Evaluation Plan and measure their awareness of the drug disposal program in our drug disposal program plan. We also seek to have a population list and recognize 2 effects of prescription and illicit drug misuse, as well as the signs or symptoms of substance misuse in someone else. We plan to implement this design through PSAs, social media, distribution of brochures, along with the creation of drug disposal boxes as our process. From there, we plan to compare the West Provo area, specifically the Franklin community, with the Rose Park community located in the Salt Lake City West area to measure the implementation of our process interventions. These 2 communities are similar to one another, where there are high rates of poverty seen in the area, with similar health problems present as well. Comparing these 2 communities will allow us to determine the effects of our intervention plans with our design and help us reach our outcome goals by the end of our program.